Welcome back to another episode of the Fiscal Alliance Podcast. I'm sitting here with the Executive Director, Paul Craney. My name is Mike Urban. We're going to hash it out today.
Good to see you again, Mike.
Good to see you too, buddy. Give me the scoop. What's been going on?
Something I think your audience, our audience, everyone in Massachusetts, 72% of the state has been kind of waiting for, finally. You know, this started leading up to 2024, that big election cycle, but it looks like finally the state Supreme Court is taking some action on the audit law. And it's crazy to think how long this has kind of been in the works. I mean, even before the state auditor put this question out there as like a ballot question, she was talking about this issue. So you're talking about like, what, 3.5 years? So yeah, just since we last met, we kind of hashed out, you know, what it might look like. I think the state auditor was having like a legal kind of challenge to the attorney general before the SJC, a single justice, but big news, the single justice actually kind of did a 180 and said, you know what, this is something that the whole court should hear. And that's a really good thing. You know, it's
a big deal. Any support that the auditor could get, even if it's just a little bit, but that's major support. It just provides more ammunition to the problem to try to solve it.
Definitely. And I think technically what they're debating right now is if the state auditor can have an attorney to defend her on the hypothetical legal case. So we're not like going into the legal merits of the audit law just yet, but everyone kind of thinks that's the next step, obviously.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't know if you saw, I don't know if it was yesterday, but the AG in Massachusetts came out and said something regarding getting her own attorney and all of these things. Like it's, you know, it's going to create some level of distrust or chaos.
Yeah.
That's not her words exactly, but she basically said this will, if this happens, this will allow other officials to kind of, you know, set the precedent to sue on other issues as well internally, which would create more chaos. They're doing everything in their power to try to deflect, is what it looks like to me.
I know. And it's like chaos because the attorney general doesn't want to uphold laws. Is that what you're talking about? Like, how many more laws do you feel like you want to not enforce that are approved by the voters? So I think the attorney general is starting to have a bad look on this whole, I mean, she has for a while, but now I think it's kind of getting to that point where people are like, enough is enough, AG.
Yeah, well, the reality here is that Diana is doing everything in her power to make it go through, where the AG is doing everything in her power to make sure it doesn't. And now I think what's happening is there's this public backlash that she's getting in regards to this.
Yeah, totally.
And I mean, not that there isn't a million other reasons to feel that way, but this is a big one. This is a big one. And I think we talk about this a lot. I talk about this a lot too on my channel, but you know, the more scrutiny that you put these people under, and the more, you know, you put them under a microscope, and then when the general public understands what's going on, even at a fundamental level, then everybody gets on board, and then, you know, they start pointing the fingers at people, which as they should do. A lot of people out there, that they would not know what is happening.
Yeah.
You know, they would think that it's totally unconstitutional. This is breaking the law. We can't let this go through.
Yeah.
And
all the talking points, separation of powers, unconstitutional.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just all these talking points, like 4 or 5 people in the state house always like to push out.
Correct.
Because it's them that are going to be the ones that have to, you know, be more transparent.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But so I think that's a big deal. The single justice of the state Supreme Court who had the case ruled in favor of the attorney general, which basically said the auditor can't have counsel. And the auditor, since we last met, she did an appeal to that. And the single justice reversed course and said, you know what, this should go to the full bench to see if the auditor should have legal counsel. Now, keep in mind, the attorney general who says, oh, I support the ballot question law, I support the audit, I just need some more paperwork filled out by the state auditor. She actually, what provoked all this is that she came out in support of the Speaker and Senate President in black and white in a letter saying to the state Supreme Court, on behalf of the Speaker and Senate President, you know, blah, 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 block this lawsuit. So it's like the AG is now picking a side. So does that mean the auditor gets an attorney? Because in theory, it's the state's, you know, most high-profile attorney is defending the Speaker and Senate President.
100%.
Yeah, and can you imagine if they actually, you know, said to the auditor, you don't get an attorney? Like, we would be the only state in the country where it's like, you know, they have to redo the Miranda rights of like, you don't get an attorney in Massachusetts.
Correct. They're basically gatekeeping is what they're doing. And when you gatekeep justice, you know, guess what? That isn't some form of leadership by proxy, right? When you're gatekeeping the taxpayers from the justice they deserve, you know, I feel like, what are you doing? Are you really representing the taxpayers at that point? And I think the answer is absolutely not.
No, yeah, they're representing the folks in the State House.
Correct.
Yeah, just to keep it, status quo.
Exactly.
Yeah, and hopefully, the AG is probably thinking, keep this out of course as long as you possibly can, continue to get an increase in a state budget so you can go after Trump, and then maybe run for a higher office. I mean, that's just the playbook. That seems to be what the folks in the State House wants. And then you got this auditor who's being pesky and wanting to enforce, a ballot question that every town and city voted for. But so we got some major updates on that. That is good news. And obviously, when the court decides what they want to do for the auditor to have a lawyer, hopefully they'll say, yes, you get a lawyer. And then hopefully they'll just take up this case and we can finally hear the merits of the case, which it's been a long time coming.
It's crazy what is happening, because I think I said this before. It's like, we're not even at the phase of the audit yet. We're at the phase of suing to potentially see if we could actually conduct the audit.
I know.
So there's all this time that passes in between that, in between getting this to go through to actually performing on what the taxpayers wanted. And within that time frame, there's so much misinformation, and it is so unfortunate for the taxpayers. And really, everybody in Massachusetts, this is like, everybody should be upset. Yeah,
totally. I mean, every town and city voted for it.
Yep.
And it's been interesting because last time we met too, I think, back to the Attorney General is getting she's getting a lot of pressure on this now.
Yeah.
Like more, I don't know how you can get more pressure than 72% of the state voting for it, but you could tell there's like some cracks kind of, out there now. I mean, she called the state auditor on her personal cell phone to want to talk about it.
Yes.
Like, okay, you may think, oh, that sounds reasonable, right? But if you think about it for a sec, you're like, wait a second. The Attorney General is a lawyer. She's representing the Speaker and Senate President. She's also the most powerful lawyer in the state. And you're calling someone who's not a lawyer about a legal case that you represent one side on. It's totally inappropriate. It should obviously go to the state auditor's, lawyer that she wants to hire, not the auditor herself, because obviously that means what she could allegedly take place is, oh, I spoke to the auditor and she said X, Y, and Z.
Correct.
Because she's representing the Speaker and Senate President. And it can get, it's a tactic. It was, I get why lawyers do that, but, who's the sufferer here is the audit law.
Correct.
She's trying to do this little tactic to help the Speaker and Senate President. It's a bad look for the taxpayers and the voters.
It is. And the fact remains, when you're in a lawsuit, you're not supposed to communicate directly with the other side, right? Like this is
like the plaintiff versus plaintiff. Like the lawyers are supposed to talk.
Correct. The lawyers are supposed to talk. And I think, I think it was a trap is really what it was.
It was totally trap.
It was a complete trap, and it backfired because the auditor called it out.
Yeah.
And, kudos to her, because, I mean, thank God that we have Diana, because if we didn't, I don't know where we would be today, to be honest with you.
I think a lot of people might have been caught off guard if it was kind of someone else. They would have been like, oh, she sounds, the AG's trying to be reasonable, not knowing I want to hear you talk so I can hold it against you because I'm a lawyer and I could be, using this in the court
that's what
case.
The 28% that didn't vote for it probably think. Let's just be fair. That's probably what they think is going on.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that it's come down to this. But I think that I don't think anybody else but Diana could do this. I really don't. I mean, she's dug her heels into the sand, and she's, full steam ahead with this. I mean, think about the backlash. Think about the enemies. Think about everything. Like, that's the point that I try to make sometimes when I'm talking about this is, she's putting herself in an uncomfortable position. And sometimes you need to do those things in order to have some growth. And in this case, it's not even personal growth. I think it's something that would benefit every single taxpayer inside of Massachusetts. So she's putting her neck on the line for all these people, getting the hate from her entire party on this, and she's not stopping and she's not backing down.
Yeah.
So, left, right, whatever, doesn't matter to me. If you have any kind of common sense thinking, or you're willing to collaborate with both sides in order to reach some sort of happy medium, that's what this state needs.
Yeah, no, totally right. It's the issues, right? Champion an issue that everyone supports, and in this case, it's holding government somewhat accountable because they're basically lawless on this.
They're off the rails.
Yeah. So there are some amicuses that are due pretty soon. There's going to be another round of amicus, in theory, you would think, when the state Supreme Court takes up the merits of the case. So there's going to be a lot of legal attention now. We're talking a lot about the political attention, but I think in the next few weeks, maybe months, you're going to see a lot of lawyers talking and legal talk. But I do think for your audience and our audience and anyone that's listening, like we're finally getting there.
Yes.
It's finally, everyone's been so patient and kind of frustrated. It feels like the court is finally starting to take this up. And that is a relief, because for a second there, it looked like a single justice was going to unilaterally make a decision in support of the Attorney General's position, which is
100%.
The 28%, the Speaker, the Senate President, and their proxies.
Yeah, pretty much that's all it is. And you brought up the amicus brief. So as you know, and many of you know, Diana called on Mara Healey to file an amicus brief.
Yeah, I know.
Has there been any update on that?
I don't think so. But we all know Maura Healey's, she's very prolific in the courts when she was AG. So there's really no excuse. She should be jumping on board on that.
Yeah,
so.
well, if you support it, like really, if you're in support of something, and this puts Maura Healey, and I've said this before, puts her in the hot seat, because really what Diana did, which I think was a strategic move, is she really put her on blast, because if you support it when you're in front of a podium, you should support it in reality as well.
Yeah.
And this is something, as a former attorney general, it would hold some weight if she decided to do this. If she doesn't do this, I think that this is really going to look bad come November, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think so too. It's definitely a sticking point.
It's a sticking point for sure. I mean, because it just shows you that she's in support of the audit in public, but behind closed doors, that's not the truth.
Yeah, she supports it when it's beneficial to her.
Correct. Depends on who she's talking to.
Yeah, she doesn't support it when the audit law needs help in court.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So taxpayers, some good news coming up on this, and I think we're going to hear a lot more about it, but finally the court is moving in the right direction.
That's another episode of the Fiscal Alliance Podcast. I'm sitting here with Paul Craney. We'll see you on the next one.
The Fiscal Alliance Foundation is a nonpartisan, nonprofit 501c3 organization. Visit our website to read more about our alternative energy policy studies, sign up for important email updates, make a tax-deductible contribution, and follow us on social media.